Hey, it's me, JT, and bienvenidos to un otro video. Today, we're going to talk about как выбрать, какой язык изучать. How to choose which language to learn. So, choosing a language to learn is like choosing a romantic partner. You're going to be with this person, ideally, for the rest of your life. And so, you want to make the right decisions and you want to know why it is that you're choosing to learn the language that you learn. Now, different people have different reasons. I've been on a lot of different language exchange apps and just met a lot of people in my language learning journey and talked to people about the various reasons why they're learning. Some of the reasons why people learn languages is simply to go to whatever target country and to get a girlfriend or boyfriend. Some people may be learning a language because they want to connect more with their family heritage, or they want to be able to speak to their, say, grandparents who may or may not speak whatever it is that their native tongue is, if they've moved around or immigrated somewhere. So that's like if someone's family came from Mexico and the grandparents don't speak English, but the kids were born in the United States and so they speak English and don't speak Spanish, maybe those kids will want to learn Spanish in order to better connect with their culture and connect with their grandparents. Just an example. So I have studied a lot of different languages throughout my life to various degrees, and I've had various goals for why I wanted to study the languages. But ultimately, it boils down to just knowing, like I said, what your goals are going to be and how you're going to use it. For example, some of the languages I've looked at, forgive me, I kind of have like this little throat itch. So, for example, one of the reasons why I've learned some of the languages that I have learned is so that I could do research by reading texts and documents in those languages. And so, for example, French, even though research is not the only reason I learned French, but French and knowing how to read it allows me to be able to read historical texts in French because that language goes farther back than modern English, for example. And I actually do, even speaking of English, I actually do have a book for Old English, and I have been loosely here and there as needed learning the basis of Old English so that I can have a better understanding of where some of our words come from. And so that's very interesting. Anyway, so some other languages, for example, people who might be in religious type settings might find it useful to learn things like ancient Greek or Latin or Hebrew, whether it be Aramaic or modern Hebrew, as we call it, or whether it be something like Paleo Hebrew, in order to better understand biblical texts, for example. Some other people might find it useful to learn Arabic in the same, for the same reason so that they can read the Quran, for example. Or just enjoy the Arabic poetry and literature. Arabic is very, very rich in literature. And so sometimes people might choose to learn Arabic simply for that reason. And with that being said, think about it. A lot of people who learn to read a particular language might not know how to speak that language, and that's okay. Language involves listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Those are pretty much the four avenues of learning a language. And so, for example, with French, I can understand it, I can read it, I can more or less write it, and I can more or less speak it. However, with Spanish, I'm not very good at reading Spanish. I'm a lot better at speaking Spanish. That's just because I learned French in a university setting. I learned Spanish in Mexico. And when it comes to other languages, like, say, Old English, I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce these words. And really, a lot of people, there's a lot of debate about how to pronounce these words. Same thing with Latin or ancient Greek. It's hard to know how it actually sounded, but a lot of people just learn to read it to get a better understanding. Anyway, the point is, you have to know why it is that you want to learn the language that you want to learn. Another concept that I want to talk about when choosing a language to learn. Oh my gosh. Maybe you guys have talked to someone about, say, hey, I'm thinking about learning, I don't know, Estonian. And that person says to you, well, why would you learn Estonian? You should learn something like Spanish, because being in the United States, there's more, you'll use it more, is what they say. Or say you want to learn Japanese so that you can watch anime, which is totally legitimate. And someone might say, oh, well, why would you learn Japanese? You should learn German, because German is another is a very industrial nation, and there's more business opportunities if you speak German internationally. I'm just kind of making this up. I don't have any statistics, right? Look, learning a language is more than just learning a language. It literally does something to your brain. It changes the way you perceive existence. And so don't listen to those people who tell you, oh, why would you learn this? You should learn this. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, those people don't speak any other languages. They barely speak English grammatically. And yet they're coming and saying, oh, you should speak this or you should speak that. Whatever language it is that you choose, I don't care if it's Esperanto. I don't care if it's Swahili, Cherokee, whatever language you decide to learn, own it. Be proud of it. You're doing this for you. A lot of people don't have, let's see. A lot of people don't have the mindset that it takes to go out and learn a different language. They might say things like, oh, I'm too old, or blah, blah, blah. All the excuses that people make. In fact, actually, that just gave me an idea, and I'm going to make a video about the excuses that people make. But ultimately, when it comes to choosing which language to learn, know why it is that you want to learn the language. What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And be confident in that. Own it. It's you. There is no right or wrong answer. It's what you decide. And don't listen to what other people have to say if they're trying to discourage you, because if you really want to stay committed over the long run and continue learning these languages, it's going to have to be something that you're genuinely interested in. I'm sure a lot of us have been in a situation where we had to take some sort of foreign language in school, but we weren't interested in it. And how did that go? So I hope you find this video helpful. Don't want it to be too long, straight to the point. And I think when I come back, we'll talk about some of the excuses that people make of why they think they can't learn another language. And so with that, I hope you guys have a good one. So long.